You're tuned into NAC Car Culture, your home of tough muscle cars, classic cruisers and high-performance imports. Proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. And Tang Tools, get organised. Coming up in this week's episode, Eruption, Ian Neary's groundbreaking Plymouth GTX, built to SEMA show quality. Show and go from the V4 and Rotary Nationals. And we shed raid Marlborough Classic and Custom Restorations in Blenheim. First up today though, we're headed for Mystery Creek for Summer Jam number 1. Downtime Entertainment and host club Untamed Motorsport teaming up once again to promote a positive stance in the scene.
We thought we'd put all our energy into creating a safe scene. UMF started from the streets, doing a whole lot of stuff that we just shouldn't have done. And, we just kind of flipped it around and just, doing things that are positive.
It's a nice, chilled atmosphere and, you get to see what other people drive and have a good chat with them. It's not too hectic.
Keep the whole family vibe. I don't like the drama side of things,
It's an awesome scene we've got going on here in New Zealand and yeah, like being a part of it.
Summer Jam doubles as a more low-key build-up to the second Autofest that's happening right here in March. It's a chance to try new things out, and there are a few key differences. For one, the crew bet all in on the summer forecast, ditching the show halls for the great outdoors. The hard park takes up most of the real estate, but the burnout pad certainly didn't go to waste, nor did the cruise circuit.
We thought we'd try something different. We've got the static shows that are, around a lot, and it's cool seeing the car, but it's not until you actually hear it. And sometimes you get an opportunity to actually jump inside the car and go for a ride. And of course, you've got the low riders that can, three-wheel and stuff, stuff you can't do on the street. So.
It's a S13 Sylvia. It's got an SR20Z in it. Nothing major, it's just built for looks pretty much. Got it with a big knockoff Urus kit, cracked paint, she was knockoff wheels, the usual New Zealand mess. The first thing I came up with was to go back to two-tone, and then it kind of just snowballed from there, and obviously it's not two-tone now, more like eight-tone. Got more influence from Japanese culture as it went on.
Summer Jam's hard parks are a lot of club representation, and Callum and the S13 were part of the Stray Gang camp.
There's not many of us, sort of, I think like 12, and we kind of just a family, not everyone can join or anything like that. It's not really about your car either, it's more about just having the right attitude and actually coming in and hanging. And the biggest thing that sort of goes through them all is just having a bit of style, like being a little bit creative with your car. That's normally what I look for anyway, and what I like, and I like all our cars, so,
Next door, Vic from X Racing Autosport had his latest project on hand.
Every year we come up with something new, something different. Last year we had the Maserati with the Dubai police theme, so it looked like a Dubai police car pretty much, and sold that, and from there it was kind of next step up.
And that next step is a good one. This being the GTR's last day out before the Nissan's lines would be significantly fiddled with, in the form of New Zealand's first Liberty Walk wide-body conversion and a big unveil at the V4 and Rotary Nationals. Sounds good to us, but why stop there?
We will be doing a few bolt-on stuff like mufflers, exhaust and whatnot, and intakes. So just probably gonna get it up to about 700 horsepower or something. Not that you can use it on roads or anything, but it's good to have that power under your foot.
A cruise circuit checkpoint saw the afternoon speeds come to a halt briefly. But fear not, there were no pink stickers here. In fact, the only way your car could be ordered off the road here is for not being low enough. Mazda's MX-5 proved a good head start in the game, but even they needed a helping hand. Another strong performer was Charmaine's old-school Prelude. That wasn't by chance either.
So this is an 89 Prelude. I've had it for a good year and a half now. It's a B20, 2 litre, 4-wheel steer, all intact, 5-speed manual. Yeah, a lot of the work is underneath, They've got to do the full underbody shave to get it as low as this. Because of the 4-wheel steer, all that mechanics under there just get in the way. Now it takes a lot of effort to get it that low.
And although the four-wheel steer might make achieving the desired stance a bit more of a headache, it does have its uses.
I took it on Hampton Downs and took it around there, thrashed the hell out of it, you know. Didn't really care what happened, just wanted to see what she could do. Did a 127 as my fastest lap time, top speed about 157, which isn't bad. Borrowed my mate's slicks, so that helped. Corners were too easy, so that's good.
And Charmaine is far from just the driver in this equation.
Yeah, I'm a qualified welder, so you know, any fabrication that I need to do on the car when I do a bit of a rebuild on it, then I can do that in a drop of a hat, so that saves a bit of money later down the line. Sometimes I can't be bothered proving it and I'll just be like, oh yeah, ha ha ha, I'm just a hairdresser.
Altezza Nation had a few quality examples on hand. One in particular, though, was on the receiving end of a large number of double takes.
The car is a 2003 Toyota Altezza. Had it for about 3 years and done an engine transplant of the 1U ZFE. Just got bored of that power and just wanted more, so I got a M122 supercharger and just parts from billet in Australia and just manufactured that to fit. It's made a fair difference. Without the supercharger, it was just shy of 200 rear wheel kilowatt, and with it now it's 274, so you gained a little bit there, but always looking for more power. Wherever I go, just people look, like calling out. It's just the nature of the car.
One of our picks would have to have been Jason's RX-3. The coupe runs a Curran Brothers Racing-built 20B, force-fed by no less than 2 turbos. And speaking of standouts, add one Evo to that list.
I got it when it was completely stock. I did the forged motor build on it, so it's a 2.3 litre stroked motor. Putting down decent power at the moment, but I'm looking at doing a few more things to it. It was always going to be a daily driver, and plans changed halfway along the build. So I decided to go with the full Voltex aero kit on it as well. Eventually it will be doing track days and hopefully super lap. But just taking things a bit slow. It's going for another tune soon, so we'll see how much more power it can put down.
The Mitzi was in good company and was part of the New Zealand Fijian cars lineup.
It's just a bunch of guys that got together. Initially we were just people from Fiji, but we're like taking other people in now as well. I mean, it's all about cars. As you'll see, we've got a pretty diverse lineup. It's just people with a love for cars. Doesn't matter what you drive. You know, as long as you're enthusiastic about it and you know it's your pride and joy, you're welcome to join.
The same could be said for the first Summer Jam. As a hot afternoon of chilling, cruising and circle work draws to a close, the Downtime Entertainment crew were happy to have added another circle on the event calendar.
20 years ago, there were no events, or there'd probably be one event a year, and now we've got events, you know, in the calendar all year round, so we're actually really lucky at the moment. I'm just so glad that we can put events on for people and they can all have fun. So a whole bunch of, you know, smiling faces, so we've done our job.
Okay, time now to stop in at Auckland's Race Brakes. Here's this week's NAC Tech Tip.
A brake hose is a hose that allows a transfer of fluid from your brake master cylinder, from the pressure that you apply with your foot, to get to your caliper, which applies pressure to your disc, which slows down your vehicle. Under most applications, both entry-level track use and road-going vehicles, a rubber brake hose is more than enough for what you actually require. The logic of going over to a braided hose is there is no stretch, there is no flex, there is no expansion. So any pressure you put in one side is going to come out exactly the same at the other side. If you're getting more serious and spending more time out on the track, that's where your braided steel line will really come into its own. It will give a nicer brake pedal feel for a longer period of time on the track.
Still to come on NAC Car Culture, Ian Neary's Eruption Plymouth GTX. Action from the V4 and Rotary Nationals, and behind the doors at Malborough Classic and Custom Restorations. You're back with NAC Car Culture, kindly brought to you by the good people at NAC Insurance, Teng Tools and Mount Shop. We've got Eruption coming up very shortly, but first, we're off to the V4 and Rotary Nationals. Held in late January, the Nationals are run over Auckland's anniversary weekend. Saturday is show day and takes place at Auckland's ASB Showgrounds, while the Nats take to the road on Sunday, heading south for Meremere Dragway. Just in case there was any doubt, the foreign rotors make a bold statement as to how strong the import scene is in New Zealand. You need to look no further than the lineup of new cars being unveiled to the public, including Vic's R35 GTR, which is packed on the pounds. Mad Mike wasn't going to miss out on the fun. The Rad Bull MX-5 was on board ahead of its public New Zealand track debut at Summer Bash. But perhaps the big talking point was the latest revision of his quad-rotor RX-7. Dubbed version 7.3, the Drift Spec Batty takes plenty of inspiration and a few parts from Mazda's iconic RX-3, with a 12A nose cone grafted onto the FD. The rest of the car didn't miss out either, with a custom rocket bunny kit and rotiform wheels, while the graphics throw back to old-school Mazda racing. While we're on the topic of new stuff, a quick stroll out of the doors from the show hall would lead you to the first round of NAC car football. The NAC team was packed with D1NZ drivers and dominated early. Some sharp footwork, wheel work in effect here, as Cole Armstrong slotted round one's winning goal. Most probably just a coincidence, but none of these cars would make it out alive. We'll have more highlights from the V4 and Rotary Nationals next week, but in the meantime, jump onto themotorhood.com to check out the full gallery and report from both days. Right, we're off to Blenheim now, thanks to our mates at Ting Tools. It's time to gate crash Malborough Classic and Custom Restorations.
We're in Blenheim, Marlborough, restoration shop. We do hot rods, modified vehicles, classic, full restorations on all of them, mechanical work. And so it's really sort of, we can do the whole 9 yards really. Oh, we've had right up to, we had a Rolls Royce in here a while ago, and we've had Murray Thousands. Every car's got its merit, so we just try and cater for anybody that comes on the doors that's enthusiastic with cars.
And there seems to be no shortage of them in Blenheim's thriving car culture.
Growing, yeah. Perfect climate. I think local hot rod club's got about 40 members. Vintage car club's really big. A lot of young ones are getting into these little Corolla coupes and that, which is really good. We've done a couple of those with the items ourselves. That's the next thing really. Progress. As everything else gets dearer, people go back to what they can afford and do up. We've always been involved all the way through, and even before we had the business, we're always working on cars in the evenings and weekends. It's always been a passion. Very satisfying, yeah, to turn your hobby into a job, which is really good.
As well as taking on all stages of the build process, the Marlborough Classic and Custom Restorations team aren't too set on a specific style of project. From the time-tested approach to driver-friendly retro tech conversions, vehicles from all corners are welcome.
We like the variety actually. I've always been into V8s myself, muscle cars and hot rods. I like that, but then I like English cars like the wee TR3 that came in. Everybody's different, all walks of life, and as I said, every car's got its merit, so they're all important to us. Probably the most popular now is retro rods, where you've got the old style bodies, even sort of unchopped and unchanneled, just nice tidy original body on a later model chassis or later model running gear and all the comforts. The general age of a lot of their customers are getting on, so they want comfort and handling.
On the receiving end of an injection of modern motivation was this Dodge pickup.
Coming up to retirement, he's always wanted a hot rod, and he thought if he can't really leave it a lot later. It's got an LS1 Chev motor, which a lot of the Holden Utes had in 2000 onwards. We've widened the back guards, got a 9-inch diff in it. He chose the wheels himself. We've put air conditioning in it. Quite a challenge. The air conditioning unit he got out of a late model Commodore, and the old ones were never made with that much room under the dash, so there's a wee bit of cutting and tucking, and yeah, you've got to be really good with your fabricating, and you can't just put it in there. You've got to allow for steering columns, brakes, you've got to allow for everything else to go around it as well, and then they still want their glove box and that sort of thing, so you've got to make everything fit and everything work.
A little old Ford pickup should be a bit simpler then. Well, looks can be deceiving, and there's a bit more to this than meets the eye too, but the details still have to be right.
It's a 1930 body with fiberglass 32 running boards, and guards. It was originally a car, it's been cut down to a truck. He's been in numerous times and we work with him to exactly what he wants, how he wants, because not everybody's the same size. Angle of the steering column, it's all to suit the customer. Like, I'm not the ideal height for a severe roof chop, so you just got to suit their tastes and what they are, and them to be as comfortable as possible in there, because some of these early cars are very small in the cabs.
And custom fitting to clients' needs and taste goes a lot further than the driver's seat.
We don't like to sort of try and force any of our own ideas on, because everybody's got their own ideas and styles. As much as we can, we want it to be their idea. Yeah, just be happy and have lots of happy mileage driving them around.
For your chance to win a Teng Tools Top Toolbox worth $359, simply head over to themotorhood.com. We'll be giving away one every week for 10 weeks. As an extra bonus, you will also receive a 7-piece screwdriver set to help you on your way to build your own toolkit. Get organised with Teng Tools. Okay, Mount Shop feature car time. Early in the series, we brought you the big reveal. Now, it's time to get the full rundown on Ian Neary's groundbreaking Plymouth GTX, dubbed Eruption.
The seed got sewn with this car when I was a young fella watching Vanishing Point, and I always wanted to have a muscle car. And of course the opportunity came to purchase this car. It was pretty rough and ready at the right price, and that's what started it off in 2008.
But this would be no run-of-the-mill overhaul. As a regular judge of elite builds at SEMA, Ian had plenty of inspiration at hand. He also saw just what it takes to construct a vehicle to the highest standard, and that commitment starts right from day one.
The key components are, first of all, the concept and the design. You've got to get that right, and you've got to start from the very beginning and package that first to have an end vision. The only way to achieve a high-end build is something called time. It's invaluable, and you've got to put plenty of it in to achieve it.
It's not a point Ian makes lightly. The GTX is the result of 14,000 hours, so far, over an 8-year period. A small build team was recruited to handle specialist areas, such as the exquisite chassis and floor pan by Terry's Chassis Shop, and the completely custom interior crafted by Ian Goodwin. But a huge chunk of those hours have been Ian's own, from a surprisingly modest setup in his home garage. Even more impressive, perhaps, is that Ian fit all these hours around his real job.
At times, it can be one notch short of insanity to try and achieve it, and you've really got to be strong. There's been times when I've almost really thrown the towel in, but I go back and look at the concept right at the beginning and the artwork that we did, and that gives me the incentive to continue on the dream.
Ian hasn't strayed from that initial game plan. Minor tweaks were made to the front valance and a switch to rectangular side markers, both suggestions from none other than renowned US builder Troy Trepanier. And although the original plan included a 440 cube wedge, a Dodge Viper donated its 8.3-litre V10 and 5-speed. But why Eruption?
The cars I build, I like them to have their own personality and their own name. I was sort of designing the car, and a friend of mine, we were just chewing the fat over a cup of tea, and I said to him, I want to do this and that and this and that, and he just said, where the hell do you get these ideas from, Ian? And I said to him, I says, look, they just erupt in my head in the middle of the night. And of course he put the finger right on it straight away, and it became Eruption. It's the snow top of the mountain, the charcoal stripes is the schist rock, and the orange pin lines, that is the actual lava. So of course a lot of things on the car as well, like the stainless trim, is all satin raw, and so is the aluminium, the handmade bumpers are all in brushed nickel, so you're getting that natural metals to go with the colours.
The level of innovation and detail built into the Plymouth really is next level stuff as far as New Zealand builds go. Nothing on the car has escaped a restyle, generous smoothing, or a complete custom rethink, even items that at first glance appear factory-like. The grille, for example, is 76 pieces of stainless steel on a billet frame with no less than 5 days of polishing. The tail panel? That's billet. Pop the hood and the smooth panels extend, well, everywhere. And don't get us started on the stuff you can't see.
Wandering outside the box can be a little bit dangerous. You actually can overdo it. So less is more quite often, and subtlety is always a very good thing. A lot of the tricks that I learnt, especially from America, on looking and judging at all those cars, is that so much is subtle and a lot of it you don't really spot. And why does it look so good? Because they haven't really changed a lot, but they've just sleeked it, okay, and refined it. And that's what really is the difference. When you've got people studying and looking at the car, really try and work out what's actually been done. It means that you've actually achieved the job that you wanted to achieve. You've made it look really good, and they can't really pick what you've done. So it is quite satisfying. Now that the build is finished, and now I can show the car and enjoy it and let other people see it, the satisfaction is immense. The amount of outpouring of stress that's come out of me recently has just been fantastic. Now I can reflect on the 8 years, and there's been some real good ups and downs, and that's quite an enjoyable look back.
Want to see more cars in action like this? Jump onto themotorhood.com now and sign up for our totally free digital magazine. It's packed with the best bits from New Zealand Performance Car, NZV8 and New Zealand Classic Car magazines. Simply enter your email address and you'll get it direct to your inbox. Easy. That's us for this episode of NAC Car Culture. Coming up next week, more from the V4 and Rotary Nationals. Grassroots drifting on a drag strip. ST High-Tech's Savage Time Attack GTR, 1283 on the dyno and a WAF on the window. And shed raiding in Canterbury. See you then. NAC Car Culture was proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. And Teng Tools. Get organised.